Hey, what is up guys? Welcome to the video. It is Thursday. I'm out here at Bridge Street in Huntsville and I'm gonna need you guys to do me a little favor. Me and Zach here made some challenge videos last week and we posted them last week, and now I am doing the punishment for one of those videos, so you're gonna have to go tune into those videos to find out like why I'm doing the punishment and all that. But fortunately I'm having to hold the sign saying subscribe to Zach's channel, which is, you know, super, uber, extremely, very uncomfortable for me. I'm super introverted and out of my element, so this is not gonna be fun for me. Zach's gonna enjoy this because hopefully he gets some subs out of it, but who knows. But yeah, go watch those videos, and that's not what this video is about, but I'll see you after we get done doing this.
You got me feeling lately like a new world has begun. There's a fire so deep in my soul, it's rising with the sun. I'm taking the future and I'm leaving the past.
Okay, so in this video we're gonna be talking about burnout, what burnout is, how we're experiencing it right now, and then how to avoid it in the future. But I remember whenever I was 18 to 21-year-old Hayden, obsessed with going to the gym. I would leave the gym each day like excited to go back to the gym. Like I could not wait for tomorrow because I wanted to train so bad. I was obsessed with the gym. And if you would have told 18 to 21-year-old Hayden, bro, I'm feeling burnt out, I would have just assumed you're being a whiny bitch and did not want to show up that day. But it wasn't until I did my first and only bodybuilding show that I truly experienced burnout for the first time. And after that, I've been more empathetic towards, you know, the feeling of burnout, other people feeling burnt out, because it sucks. And it took me dieting 16 weeks to get to the leanest I've ever gotten. I didn't do well in the bodybuilding show because my posing was absolutely garbage, had no idea what I was doing, but I did achieve like the leanest physique I've ever had. And it took 16 weeks and it took everything out of me, and I experienced burnout for the first time. But luckily for me, bodybuilding is typically split into two phases, a cutting phase and a bulking phase. So we cut for that show for 16 weeks, we got lean, and then we could switch our goals up and go towards bulking. So our goals were changed, our training were changed, so that would definitely help with burnout. But that's a little bit different from how we're experiencing burnout today. Well, I guess it's not that different, but we're gonna get into how we're burnt out today, because I think it's really important not only to like avoid being burnt out, but like it's important to realize, hey, I'm burnt out, realize why am I burnt out, like how did I get to this point, so that can just furthermore help us in the future to avoid burnout. But you know, I'm gonna get into that in a second, but if I make this no look shot right here, you have to subscribe. Let's do it. Okay, but first let's talk about the difference between being lazy and then actually being burnt out. And you're gonna have to decipher for yourself if you're being lazy or if you're actually burnt out, because you know yourself better than anybody else does. So you're gonna have to really be honest with yourself and ask yourself, hey, am I being lazy, or does this continue to happen? I don't wanna show up for days and days and days at a time, and if I'm actually burnt out. Because, you know, even if you're not burnt out, there are gonna be days where you don't want to show up that day, where you're not motivated, you're not in a good mood, but you have to show up on those days too, especially if you're trying to do something that's really difficult that you've never done before. And hopefully you're chasing things that are difficult and you've never done before. Because if everyone in this world only showed up on the days where they're motivated and they feel great, then everyone on this earth would be average. So you have to really decide for yourself, hey, am I being a lazy bitch today? Or do I go to the gym, sit in the parking lot for 10 minutes and leave? And that happened 3 times this week. That's what would happen to me. It's so stupid, but it would happen. I would make the effort to go to the gym. I could not make myself go in there. And it's because I was so burnt out on fitness in general, on going to the gym, on running. I would enjoy going on long, easy runs, but like whenever I had to do workouts that are required of me to reach this goal that I've set for myself right now, like the sub 5-minute mile, I could not make myself show up for those workouts either. Because, you know, we started running back in August, We trained for 27 weeks to run our first marathon. We accomplished that. Then directly after that, we trained for 8 more weeks to run our first ultra marathon of 50 miles. And then directly after that, we're doing what we're doing right now. We're doing what we're doing right now. We're training for 12 weeks to run a sub 5-minute mile and then a PR in a 5K, which like totally burnt out. I should have given myself some rest or just some breaks mentally, like a week or 2 after each of those big events, the marathon, the ultra marathon. Could have given myself some time to mentally just like get my mind off running, get my mind off everything. But now we are here in Huntsville, about to do a 20-minute tempo run. Then we're gonna jump into 3 ways of how to avoid burnout in the future.
Dude, what's up? Say what's up to the vlog. Yeah? Say what's up. Dude, say what's up to the vlog, man. Okay. Yeah, they should, shouldn't they?
I'm taking the future and I'm leaving the past.
Okay, so we finished today's 20-minute tempo run with an average pace of 6:28 during the tempo portion, which isn't bad for me, especially during the summer heat. But let's get into the first tip. It's gonna be setting new goals. And then this is something that comes pretty natural. Let's say you start off going to the gym, you're like, hey, I'm gonna lose 20 pounds. After you do that, you're like, hey, you know what? I want bigger arms. So you start training for bigger arms, or maybe a bigger chest, or a fatter ass if you're a girl, I don't know. But it's really important to set new goals so you're not just doing the same thing constantly for like a prolonged period of time, like 6, 8, 10, 12 months. You're definitely probably gonna get burnt out. Like if you're just constantly focusing on losing weight, if that's your goal. For me, it was just constantly running. So I think it's really important to set new goals to avoid burnout. Now let's get into tip number 2.
Some people call it luck, I call it waking up. I'm only going up from here.
Okay, so tip number 2 is gonna be kind of similar to tip number 1, but tip number 2 is trying something new. Fitness, there's a huge spectrum to fitness. It can be from walking to the CrossFit Games, a 100+ mile race, a bodybuilding show, a powerlifting meet. There's so much to do with fitness that you don't necessarily have to put yourself in a box. Oh, you tried powerlifting, you're kind of good at powerlifting. Oh, I have to stay in this box forever, for the rest of my life. You don't have to do that. Like for me, I was really into bodybuilding, still into the gym, still into bodybuilding now, but like 2 years ago, if you would have told me, Hayden, you're gonna run a marathon, you're gonna run a 15-mile race, you're gonna try to run 100 miles in 24 hours, I'm gonna do that, I would have laughed at you, because like, dude, running, I didn't like running, but now since I tried it, I set a goal, an attainable goal of a marathon, and I crushed it. Like, I don't know why, but I'm obsessed with running now. Like, I just enjoy it. I never would have thought I'd be that guy 2 years ago, but today, dude, I love running. So fitness, there's a whole spectrum of fitness. Don't put yourself in a box, try something new. Like if you're burnt out on bodybuilding, like I was burnt out on bodybuilding. I was planning to do a bodybuilding show before COVID hit, like right before COVID hit. And then after COVID hit, obviously the gym shut down and I didn't have a way of going to the gym and accomplishing the goal that I'd set that year. But luckily I started getting into running. I don't need a gym to run. I just need a road, a sidewalk, a track, anything like that, and I can get all my running done. So now I'm really into running, and who knows what the future holds, what we're gonna be into 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. But right now it's running, so don't put yourself in a box, try something new. We're about to go into the gym right here, get in a quick workout, and we'll get into tip number 3.
It's a brand new day. A brand new day.
Okay, so the third tip is going to be taking some time off, actually giving yourself time to physically and mentally recover, especially after like a long training block. I know for me, I trained for 27 weeks to run my first marathon. After that, I should have taken maybe a week off, 2 weeks off, maybe even 3 or 4. It all depends on you. We're all different. What works for me may not work for you. And I know these are all really simple tips, but they'll work for me if I apply them. And I obviously have not applied most of these after the events I've done, the marathon, the 50 ultra marathon I did. Now we're getting into trying to run a PR in the mile and the 5K. So after this mile and 5K, which is coming up this coming week, it's gonna be raining most days, so hopefully I find a good morning that I can attempt these on. But after this, I'm gonna take maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks off from running, you know, and it's hard taking some time off, especially nowadays. You're seeing social media, you're seeing people accomplish great things, and you're like, dude, I'm falling behind. I need to continue training and training so I don't fall behind. But I mean, if you're burnt out, I mean, you're eventually going to have to take a break, especially if it's like a physical burnout, like if your body is broken down and you run into an injury. Luckily for me, I haven't had any significant injuries. I've had a couple nagging injuries, which have healed, but if I had a significant injury, I would have no choice but to take some time off. So it's really important to give yourself some time. I'm really gonna focus on that after this next week after we attempt our 1 mile PR and our 5K PR. But yeah, these are all just tips that I'm giving to you guys to help avoid burnout, what I'm gonna be using to avoid burnout, because 6 weeks ago, the burnout was real. It was terrible, and I don't know how else to describe it. I just could not make myself train like I wanted to, but I literally just could not make myself. It sounds kind of like a bitch. It does kind of sound like a bitch, doesn't it? But I mean, I could not help it. I was literally so burnt out. But yeah, that's gonna wrap up the video. Hopefully you got some value from this video. If you did, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. The next video is probably gonna be the 1 mile sub 5-minute attempt. So fingers crossed, think we're gonna get it. I hope we get it. I want it. I'll see you in the next one.
It's a